Also at this hour, the Indian government has strongly defended itself for its decision to buy discounted Russian oil. India recently accepted Russia's offer to purchase 3 million barrels of crude at a discounted price, a move which has been criticized by the US and its allies. India has taken a tough stance to the criticism, with the Indian government saying that its legitimate energy transactions should not be politicized, adding that countries with oil self-sufficiency or those importing themselves from Russia cannot credibly advocate restrictive trading. India's statement comes after a reporter asked White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki if American President planned to reach out to India to try and get the decision reversed. To which the White House responded that it understood the economic reasoning for different stance by different countries.
We have not, we made a decision about banning the Russian import of oil. Every country has not made that decision, and we recognize that, and they have different economic reasoning as to why different countries do, including some in Europe. We have been in touch, of course, with Indian leaders at a range of levels, not through the president. If that happens, we will, of course, provide that readout and information to all of you.
In the aftermath of Russian invasion in Ukraine, US had announced that it would ban import of Russian oil, liquefied natural gas and coal. US has also emphasized that it would move away from dependency on Russian energy. As a result, Russia began offering its oil to many countries, including India, at discounted prices. The step is said to also help Moscow's economic prospects. Russian energy continues to be procured by various countries across the world, including many in Europe. India imports 85% of its crude oil requirement. India imports 5 million barrels of oil a day, mostly from the West Asia. 23% of oil comes from Iraq, 18% from Saudi Arabia, 11% from the United Arab Emirates. Russia contributes less than 1% to Indian crude oil demands. There is no government-to-government pact for any import plans. WION's principal diplomatic correspondent Siddhant Sibal is joining us live from New Delhi for more on this. Siddhant, good to see you. Will this move by India not complicate US President Joe Biden's efforts to isolate Russia's economy with sanctions?
Well, yes, largely what the West wants is that the major buyers like India do not go to Russia to buy oil. Now, that looks difficult given the fact that this is indeed an enticing offer from Moscow over a discounted oil, given the fact that India is always scouting for energy needs, for crude oil, and that too at a lower rate. Now, we know that India can't and is not importing oil from two countries, that's Venezuela and Iran. That is primarily because of the sanctions imposed on these two countries. Now, it is essentially the West pressurizing Asian countries, including India, over the import of crude oil, but largely it doesn't look like that it is going to have any kind of impact, because we already know that the state-run oil companies here in India have already started buying discounted crude oil from Russia, and they do see it as a positive development in terms of buying necessary oil here, given the fact that there are inflationary impacts which can be seen because of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. In fact, this week will be a heavy week here in Delhi with the visit of many foreign ministers. The Japanese Prime Minister is just shortly due to land here in Delhi. And the key focus area will be Ukraine. And many of these foreign ministers could raise India importing oil from Russia. We do expect the similar answer. That is that India is free to buy oil or crude oil or energy needs at its own wishes and its own accords.
Siddhant, what economic impact is the war in Ukraine having on India's basic supplies, including imports of sunflower oil?
Well, as of now, we haven't seen any kind of data which is coming, but we do expect the latest data from the Commerce Ministry, especially on the inflationary front, can see an increase, whether it is sunflower oil, which we all know now that India imports a lot of sunflower oil, but also to use the phrase opportunity for India in terms of wheat. Now, we know that many countries import wheat from both Ukraine and Russia. And this is now going to majorly impact where India can step up, especially for many African countries who are going to face a lot of impact in terms of wheat. And of course, here in India, there is, of course, the negative news of commodities like sunflower oil becoming costly, but also in terms of crude, we know that as we were talking about, discounted crude from Russia can help ease that pressure.
Finally, if the war continues and the supply chain remains disrupted, what effect and ramifications will that have on Indian consumers?
Well, we know about supply chains. This is something that has been talked about for a long time because amidst the COVID crisis, global supply chains were impacted, especially supply chains which were heavily dependent on China. Now, we obviously know that supply chains, when it comes to countries connected with Ukraine and Russia, especially when it comes to wheat or sunflower, will be impacted. But also remember, defense can be a major impact as well. Many countries, including India, import and get defense supplies from both the countries, and that is something that the countries will be looking forward to. There is no official comment by the Russians or the Ukrainian on whether defense imports will be impacted, but given that's going to be impacted.
Live from New Delhi, Siddhant Sibal, thank you. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.